Welcome to Coffee with Kenny. I'm Rhett Walker with Union Up, and with me on Coffee with Kenny, as always, is Kenny Mullins, who is, until April 30th, the business manager for IBEW Local 613. Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to touch base with you and talk to your membership about, man, a real end of an era is coming here. I mean,
Yeah.
you've been doing this since 2017, and I just, I wanted to take through some of the why you decided to run for business manager and what this means moving forward for Kenny Mullins. As your career with IBEW, at least in the administration, comes to a close. Take me through why you ran in the first place.
Yeah. I never originally had planned or seen graduating high school in 1996 and getting into the apprenticeship program. It never even crossed my mind that I'd be a labor leader or even run to represent the brothers and sisters of 613. Until I started attending union meetings and getting involved. And after a reign or a tenure from the previous administration, toward their end of their tenure, I guess it burnout or complacency, I don't know what it was. But the way they treated us at the union meetings, just the kind of not serving anymore, not representing, kind of discounting you and not listening. But that's really what compelled me to run to represent my brothers and sisters, having low attendance at union meetings. We average anywhere from 60 to 90 people. And I got thrown out of 2 or 3 meetings simply for, expressing concerns that really affected us, brothers and sisters, and affected all of us out in the field. And so that's what compelled us to run. Once they started, that happened, and we got thrown out. But anyway, so it's funny how it all comes back full circle, because I never, there's usually a progression to where you will run for examining board or you run for the E-board,
you get your
vice
feet wet.
president. You get your feet wet. Well, Kevin and I, straight out of the field, boom, we come into office simply because we were tired of the lack and the just being mistreated. But when I say it comes full circle, I actually saw Max Mount a couple of days ago. Love him to death. He was down here retiring, and he says, Prime saw me and says, "Hey, Max is looking for you."
Huh.
And I said, all right. So we had a 5-dot meeting. And so I called Max. I said, "Hey, brother," I said, "I'm downstairs." And he asked me a question that was just spot on question. He came down, shook each other's hand. We was out in front of the local union. He says, "I want to know what Kenny Mullins knows now that he didn't know 8 years ago."
Great question.
And I said, "Brother, I don't know if we got enough time to go through all of it." But we talked about, we're so much more alike than we are different because we're labor.
Right.
So I get it. You get complacent and human nature takes over, and you get burnt out.
Right.
But he asked me that question, and so we started talking. We had a conversation. Some of the stuff, we talked about still needs to be fixed. But it's also something that we're going to have to help Kevin. I'm here to help Kevin. He's going to go through those things that I faced.
Yeah.
And majority of the rank and file members, and I don't mean this in no disrespect, because I didn't have a clue.
Right.
Have no clue as to what it takes
to
sit behind that desk.
Yep.
And so I apologized to Max, and I have to Gene before. I was like, "Hey, brothers, totally different now because you're on that same side of that desk and you see how it actually is." Now, I didn't do everything. I was a little bit, there's different styles of leadership.
Right.
I was more coming in as a servant leader to try and serve the brothers and sisters and give them, that Chick-fil-A service.
Yeah.
To be there for them, to, try and just help them and meet them where they are. Because at the end of the day, the local, Lonnie Plott told me years ago, he told me, he says, hey, you get the budget down, you get it approved, the local will continue to run. It'll run itself.
Yeah.
Once you get it all budget down, you get the checks coming in, you get your head wrapped around that.
Right.
The local run itself. But what it won't do is the local can't lead and give the members the service that they need. It's just a building.
Yeah.
And so without the members and without a true administration that really wants to serve, then we're just another organization. So we wanted to bring that service that, hey, we're humble servants here toward you.
I guess I've never asked you this, but because I've been on dozens and dozens of job site visits, shooting video, making sure that message gets out. But is that where that came from? Like that biscuits, bringing the biscuits, sharing that moment with the brothers? Is it? Take me through that, why you came up with that idea.
So we started doing that just to show, one of the oldest traditions in human nature is like breaking bread.
Yeah.
And sitting down and sharing a meal, and us trying to bring that to the job. To kind of, just show, hey, we're here for you. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Because we know what it's like, to be out there. And
well, I mean, especially you, because you didn't come from an administrative position to another administration to business manager. You came straight from having your tools on your belt to being a business manager.
That's right.
What was that like?
Drinking from a fire hose for about 18 months to 2 years. I mean, seriously, I mean, you're trying to juggle, as far as being a JTC trustee, being on the board of trustees, to navigate through our pension, our health funds, learning to digest and interpret the collective bargaining agreement on a daily basis.
Getting to know your employers.
Trying to build relationships.
Yeah.
While also offering that type service to the membership, because at the end of the day, that's why we're here. At the end of the day, you're here to serve the members.
Yeah.
And that can't be said enough, because you see the progression and as you move through your career, a labor leader is somebody that leads, but number one, you can't lead if you're not putting them first. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You got to make sure that you're thinking for them. Their full, wellness is what you got to think about.
Even when you're getting heat from a certain percentage of the local.
Oh, yeah. You have to try to ignore that,
right?
Because it gets to the point where, you're having to navigate through hurdles,
yeah,
with the contractors, because everything doesn't always go okay. And then you got your parent body. So you're navigating through IO, doing stuff with them and things that you have to meet their expectations and their requirements. And then you got the members that you're trying to serve. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, one of the best things that you can do is you got to try to shut out the negativity. You have to be successful. But you still can't let that bridle your leadership. You can't let that harness and stop you from helping the other 99%.
So get back to that question that Max asked you. That's interesting. What did you know? What do you know now that you didn't know 8 years ago when you came in? What went through your mind what was the first thing that went through your mind when he asked you that question?
So, number one, not just the business part of it, not just we're huge on acronyms. I mean, there's so many acronyms, but you don't really know how everything operates.
Yeah.
The three parties, like, you don't really know how that operates until you've been behind that desk.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean the IO and NECA, and you don't really know what that entails. But that's what you learn, and you start seeing, oh, okay, that's why they did this, or that's why this was going on.
Yeah.
It paints you a picture.
Yeah.
And then you realize, damn, man, I was a prick. I shouldn't have been that way to them, because you didn't know what was going on.
Right.
So, but now you know, But you still got to fix the issues. You can't just quit,
Yeah.
and not fight. So you still got to try to move forward and fix whatever issues you're having.
Yeah.
And so that would be the first thing, is how the whole organization runs as a whole.
How did you feel when, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody from an apprentice to a journeyman to someone who's in office to someone who's retired, et cetera. Except that when you're the business manager, it is magnified times 10, times 100, times 1,000.
Yeah.
How did you, and you're going about your life and you're making mistakes and you're learning, you're doing your thing on the job. And then all of a sudden you get into this high profile position, which at the time had 3,000 members, and you've grown it, you and your team have grown this local double and then some, 5,400, or I guess not quite double, but
almost
way bigger membership than you had before. How did you deal with that? With when you made a mistake and all of a sudden, man, you're getting scrutiny from left and right, up and down, getting scorched on social media, et cetera. How did you deal with that?
So, number one, you don't always have to. When you first get in, you think that you always got to give an answer when somebody asks a question right then.
Yeah.
You don't. Think about it. Make sure that you're getting all the details and that you can answer the question correctly with the most detail to help the individual out. But the way I handle it, I've been blessed. I'm not a so let me think about this, how to say this. So God's blessed me. And I don't battle depression or anything like a lot of our brothers and sisters do.
Take your time. We're good.
So I just lean on him.
Yeah.
And lead.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm emotional, I'm thinking about some of those brothers and sisters that have passed away.
Yeah. Some of whom you guys have honored by naming some of the events after, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
And the membership brought that to the body.
And some that now are still here with us today, and they're still battling this depression, and you're trying to help them and you're trying to get them to the EAP. But so I've been blessed with the type of personality. God, number one, I always give it to him, but he has blessed me with a personality. I don't get bothered. I just keep working.
Yeah.
You can't get bothered by the negativity.
Right.
Text message you get, people's upset, you just keep rolling.
Yeah.
You just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, and here's what I always remember, and these are the ones that I really want to reach out to help more. Hurt people. So if they got that negative energy and people are negative, they're going through something.
Right.
And I've found out 90% of the time that there's other issues as to why they're attacking the administration or attacking us.
Right.
Is because there's something going on there. Now, the victories are when you can get to that point and you actually help that person.
Yeah.
And you're shaking their hand and you're hugging their neck, and now they're not hurting it so much. They're not self-medicating.
Yeah.
They're not this, in construction, IBEW, one thing that we've seen sitting behind this desk, alcoholism, drugs, cannabis-induced psychosis.
Yeah.
There's so much that happens to this membership,
Yeah.
That when they're attacking you, it's not always the case. Some guys are just miserable, and they're not. But 99% of the time, hurt people. There's an underlying issue that they need help with, and if they'll have the conversation with you and you can talk to them long enough, you can uncover it, and then you can do what you need to do to help them.
Yeah.
So just keep moving, one foot in front of the other is the way I'd answer that question. And I've been blessed.
I once heard a great description, the difference between the hero and the villain. And the villain says, I've been hurt, and I'm going to hurt everybody. I'm going to make sure they feel the pain I feel. And the hero says, I've been hurt. I'm going to make sure nobody else has to feel that pain.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, it's a big problem. Is that why you wanted to bring the counseling service in and help people like that?
That's huge. We wanted to, that started out the first Tuesday of every month, and now it's on a Saturday. It's there. And if it helps one brother or sister that needs it, that's going through whatever they're going through, and it helps them, and it gets them to that next spot, or gets them to that next therapy session, or gets them, because it's real. It's a lot of stress. I mean, in our world today, there's all kind of stress. And so, that's why we brought that in, just another benefit to listen and to try and help the membership to make their life and their family's life much easier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And, I hear you refer in union meetings to your family.
Yeah.
Talk about the role that your family has played in your ability to lead this local over the last 8 years.
That's been huge. I mean, I couldn't, Christy is truly my better half.
Yeah.
Godsend. I couldn't do it without her. We talked about when we started as business manager, we got in, we would see that so many business managers would end up divorced. And so we had a joke, was like, not a joke, but we was like, that's not going to be us, is it?
Yeah.
I love her. She's my queen. I mean, she's in the trenches with us. Like, she knows what's going on just as much as I do. She's learned about labor.
Right.
I mean, she is 100% lock and step with me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can't be easy for her because she's seen people taking shots at you, especially in a public forum.
And this job, if you're going to do it the way it needs to be done, it pulls you away from your family. It's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
There's so many, at one point during this tenure, it was taking 5-6 days to get back to people. Because you have so many voicemails, but it comes in spurts. It just depends on what's going on.
Yeah.
And when we're offering like something you had earlier, like we brought back to HRA, there's never going to be anything you do. There's anything that changes. There's always going to be growing pains.
Right.
And it creates more work for the administration.
Right.
Oh, my car's not working. What do I need to do? So when you have situations like that, and you roll out new stuff, it takes even more time, of your personal time to try and make sure your members, your brothers and sisters are taken care of and their families.
Yeah.
So, without her, Christy, I mean, I couldn't do it. It's one of those things where you got to have somebody, if you're married, that's going to be all in.
Yeah.
And they're going to be there to help you, and they're going to understand. So she had to make a lot of sacrifices. In this last 8.5 years, she's had to sacrifice a bunch.
Yeah. And so take me through, that's great. I mean, I feel the same way about leaders and people who support them, but take me through your administrative staff, and what they've meant to your administration, you got a really strong staff.
Yeah.
How did you come about hiring those people, and what did you look for when you hired them, and what has their role been in your administration of the last 8 years? So
one of the another attribute that I feel like I've been blessed with is able to put together a team.
Yeah.
If I'm the smartest man in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah.
So when I'm getting these people, the first qualifications for this staff that we had to have was, number one, their heart, their love for the IBEW, and their love for the membership. That was the main thing. The other stuff we can learn. We're wiremen. We got yellow tickets in our pocket. We can learn the other stuff. But this team, we wouldn't be where we are today without them.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of those assistant business agents, they're all 100% bought in. Your administration, the administration staff, their day-to-day, their workload's terrible. We do about 5 or 6 events a year. Where it's all hands on deck, and a lot of the membership don't understand that. We just had the bass tournament, and it's all hands on deck. You got reps getting there at 4 a.m. and they're staying till weigh-in at 3:30, and you know, everybody lives so far away. Now, not everybody lives up on Lake Lanier, so if you live in Noonan, it's a 2-hour drive.
Right.
So it's a lot of sacrifice from them, but they love it.
Yeah.
They're 100% love the brothers and sisters and love the local. And that's what makes a good team, is a group of people that are really walking the walk. They're not just talking the talk. They want to be here, you know, the energy to serve, to help, to make sure the, you know, families get what they need. That's what makes the team so great. And so when we put them together, I wanted somebody that's a brother that I wouldn't, you know, I would want working with me in the field, and that I knew would give their shirt off the back to any member.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I figured who we wanted, because like I said, we're wiremen, we'll learn.
Right.
And so they just been awesome, man. Everything just lined up. We've been through some historic events here, the 100-year charter party. That was huge.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, those guys are going to get heat. They're going to come to you when they get heat.
Yes,
you got to have to learn to work together and
That's
work
right.
through the problem. There are no days where there aren't problems to solve.
There's problems every single day. And so when you're one of those assistant business agents and you've got one of the largest the contractors, you know, our big three, when you're representing employees for England Stubbs and Allison Smith and Cleveland, I mean, they got a bigger workload. We tried to break it down. So there's always something. Somebody's always got an issue. But here's the thing I told them from day one. If they call you, if a member calls you from out in the field, it doesn't matter how little it seems to you when you take the call. If they're calling,
it's a big deal to them.
That is a major issue to them at that time. And you need to make sure that we see that and we solve that issue like that. And they've all been great. Everyone, I mean, it's, you know, it's a learning curve. You know, some stuff comes in and you have to learn how to prioritize.
Yeah.
You know, and those guys have done a great job. Everything's not a 4-alarm fire.
Yeah.
So you got to learn how to deal with that. Okay, this is a 2-alarm fire. So, you know, but they all have been great.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. What, if you had one thing, it might be 2 or 3 things, but what are you most proud of? I know you're not one to toot your horn, but what are you most proud of in this administration over the last 8 years?
Gosh, there's so much. So the pension increase was huge. It hadn't been increased since 1983. That was huge, reducing that health care out of pocket that we've been paying. Those, if you're talking about things with the CBA, those would be pretty big. Bringing back the HRA, things like that are, to me, are really good.
Well, one thing I wanted you to talk about was Amped. How you came up with that. That seems like a real, I mean, that to me, that's one of the first things that a business manager has done to really attempt to hear the apprentices in the field, what they're going through on a daily basis, how you can help them, not only people who, because they have to choose to be a member here. It's a right to work state. So,
that's
like take me through Amped, what it means and how you came up with that.
So apprentices mandating progress every day, cultivating and giving attention and love to the future generations, to the people that's going to keep the IBEW Local 613 moving forward. They're the next generation. And for decades, for years, apprentices were, go stand in the corner and don't speak until spoken to, and walk behind me 3 steps and don't speak until I turn around and ask you to speak. And I just felt like for the principles of the IBEW and to cultivate them, for them to understand what we're truly meant to do, not just, dollars and cents, but the qualities and what the IBEW brings, we wanted to instill that in them. We needed to get in front of them and let them know CWCE's apprentices what really the real reason why you're part of the IBEW and how you're supposed to conduct yourself as a brother or sister.
Yeah.
You know, you'll hear people say, we got brothers and sisters and you got members.
Right.
You know, you don't want to be a member. You want to be a brother or sister. You want to know, and you want the people working with you, around you, to know that you got their back, that you really will have a life interrupted to help them.
Yeah.
And so the only way to teach and to let them know was to get them together in a room and say, hey, this is what, and make it, we had to walk the walk.
Right.
You know, they're on low wages, so it comes 4th of July, Thanksgiving. So the first one, we rolled out the food for them.
Uh-huh.
You know, we gave away a bunch of food, and we gave away, you know,
Turkeys,
protein and turkeys and stuff like that, because we got it. You know, if you have a family and you're a first-year apprentice back in when we started in 18 or 19, it was tough.
Yeah, man.
I mean, if you had a family and you're trying to go to work every day, and so that was why we did that. And then,
I mean, you know, a lot of members, or a lot of employees, because they go to work for a signatory contract, think, oh, I'm a union member. It's like, no.
That's right.
You got to choose for that.
You have to choose for that. And
Yeah.
that's what we wanted to know. And, you know, it also was apparent to us that there's so many people, like you just said, that we saw that, hey, I'm working for this contractor, I'm union. Well, no, you're working for a signatory contractor,
Right.
but you're not actually union yet.
Right.
You know, and so we wanted to just let them know that we're here for them and take them through that process and offer avenues for them. We had a real estate agent, you know, first-time homeowners person come to one of them to say, hey, here's how you can get some first-time. Just give them information and just show them that we care about them.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in closing here, what's your take on the future? Excuse me. What's your take on the future of 613? How do you feel about, you know, you leaving it behind, and take me through who's going to carry the members
So I've
through.
worked with Kevin. Swanee is what I call him, and have called him that for years. I worked with him all over the country. I know his heart, and I've been able to see him as president, and I know him. He loves the local. He's going to be the best business manager that this local's ever had. And I really believe that, simply because the way he handles stuff, his knowledge, he's a lot smarter than I am. And he's going to do really, really good. I think he'll start seeing huge changes. You know, he's going to just blow the low wage stuff that we've been getting for years. All that's going to go away. I mean, he's got a hold on it.
Yeah.
And what makes it so good is his heart. He loves the local. I mean, nobody can deny how many people he's helped just from that president spot. I mean, Manny's got big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just really good. And Manny's going to do good. You know, each leader has their own different style of leadership, but this local is going to be strong. You know, we get, you know, Stewart County, they kick that nuke off.
Man.
And they're at the helm and they're leading this local. It's going to be unbelievable at where we're going to go. I think we go from, and we're already moving in that direction, but we're going to end up being a local that's truly one of the largest and well-known throughout the country.
Yeah.
And what makes that so great is the people. So our members have to understand, too, that they are 613. So the way they treat people and the way they handle themselves when travelers come in, and the way that we move forward is defined by how the actual members, the rank and file brothers and sisters, treat people when they come in.
So the thing that I'm excited about most really is that we're not going to lose you as a labor leader. Tell the members what's going on with Kenny Mullins moving forward here, where you're going to be, and what kind of job you're going to be doing. So
I've had the privilege and the opportunity to move to the Georgia construction career. So it's the building trades. So now, instead of just representing 613, I'll be the business manager for all the building trades here in Atlanta. And so I'll work with the other managers from the other crafts, from our sheet metal, our UA, our plumbers, pipe fitters,
Awesome.
painters. So I'll get to work with those managers, and I'll help any way I can, and still be able to represent labor.
Yeah.
And I'll still be in the IBEW building. You know, this is home to me.
Yeah.
So it's another chapter, but it's a little bit bigger jurisdiction, different stuff. We have 86 counties opposed to the 58 counties that we have here in 613. So I'm excited, you know, to get a little bit more involved at the Capitol, to be able to try and work that angle and, you know, try to get all of us as a whole as trades a little bit more exposure and a little bit more, get our name out there, you know, so they know what the brothers and sisters do in all the crafts every single day. They know what you and your families go through. They know that we're building the signature buildings in Atlanta, you know, the big plants, you know, the powerhouses. We control them, we run them, we maintain them. So I'm excited. It's going to be good. And still get to serve and be here to represent labor.
Man, we got so much opportunity coming down the pike for Georgia. It's
crazy.
It really is.
You know,
man. Especially if they kick off that thing in Stewart County, that's going to stretch the needs of of labor, all the trades, really.
100%. And the rate that businesses are moving to Atlanta, are astronomical.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable. And one of the main reasons is because we got power. We can produce the power. So, you know, other parts of the country, they're stretched tight, and they don't have that capacity to meet the demand for the power demand. So that's one thing. But also, it's a great city. This is Georgia. It's a great state. It's our state. I grew up here and proud to be from here, and I love my state and my city of, you know, here in Atlanta, and I love all my brothers and sisters for the IBEW for sure.
Well, I can tell you, as a member myself of IBEW Local 613, I have seen that membership grow. I've seen those union meetings from 60, 80, 90 people to 300 plus members. You know, I mean, it's been awesome to watch as a bystander. I appreciate you working with us. And man, I'm really grateful that, you know, we got this opportunity to talk about your career, and I'm super happy for you moving forward in the building trades, and look forward to more great things. And thank you for joining me. With Coffee with Kenny.
Thank you.
And we're out.